So think of all them blades of grass touching that fence, draining all your fence down and going into the ground. So that's how much pressure. We have huge amount of pressure on it, and I'll tell you, I have it in your packages. The energizers, you'll see the energizers and people say, geez Tim, you're trying to sell me a too big a fencer. It's wrong. It's wrong what they have in the boxes for our conditions. It's right, southern US where they don't have grass pressure. It's wrong for our areas. So I've corrected to what my recommendations are here. I've been around for a long time, and when I get calls and people say, you know, the cattle are getting out and I see the voltage, it's just I recommended the wrong energizer. He just went and bought what he's seen in the box. So we've adjusted it on that sheet so you can see what one you need. And I always buy one bigger. Like, you always have them times you need more power. Nobody's ever said, Tim, you sold me too much power. Never. So always buy power. It's like the you know, it's like our body circulation. It's the veins, you know. That's what our fence system is. The energizer is our brain. So that's the smart thing about it, is the energizer. But the grounding is the heart. That all three of them make the complete fence system, so that they all three work together to get the stock control and predator control that we bought it in the first place. You know, people always, I get the question, oh, I got some rebar, can I use rebar? No, you can't. It's just like, can you weld two pieces of rusty old rebar together very well? Not very well. Is it a good ground? Rusty is not a good conductor, so we don't recommend that. We sell great galvanized ground stake with good galvanized clamp, 2 meters long, so you're going 7 feet into the ground. Get down to that moisture, and that's important. What do I got? We recommend 1 ground rod per 3 joules of power. So if you're buying a 3 joule fencer, 1 ground rod. 6 joule fencer, 2 ground rods, and keep going. I have a 100 joule fencer. I need more ground rods. Right now, it's running, I have 1600 kilovolts on my ground, and I have 22 ground rods in the ground. Remember I said 3 ground rods per joules, and I have a 100 joule fencer, so I got a ways to go. Now I have some of these Gallagher guys, I think they're staying for a bit, so maybe I'll put them to work. But anyway.
No, that ain't.
Anyway, I'll turn.
How far do they have to spread out?
So yes, very important, you want to have a minimum of 10 feet apart. If you have 3 ground rods and they're within 10 feet, it collects electrons around there to give you the power. So it's not doing anything to have 3 ground rods within 10 feet. Get them minimum 10 feet apart.
What about culverts?
Attaching it to a culvert, likely a decent ground, but
just check.
yeah, just check if it is.
How far away from your hydro panel should they be?
Oh, yes. I think they recommend a minimum 60 feet. So yes, very important. Get it away from your hydro ground, telephone ground, cable ground, lightning off your barn roofs. Get it away from that, because if you get a lightning strike and hits your lightning comes down, it's going right to your ground, your energizer, and bang.
I have an issue with stray voltage. The hydro guys, I did the grounding according to the paperwork for the energizer. The hydro guys said I have a better grounding than they do for their hydro.
Is it close to their hydro?
It's 200 feet away from their poles, but what they forgot to do was ground the poles down the side road when the subdivision went in. And they haven't marked to ground them, but they haven't. So their solution was neutral pole. But that is another issue. And the telephone apparently is the same voltage as the electric fencers, and they ground to a hydro pole. And when you call them up, they say, we always ground to the hydro pole. And it can be an issue for stray voltage too.
Yeah. I'm going to, just for the sake of time, I'll go to Bruce and he'll show you more on grounding, show you how brave he is. Yeah, really.
I want to just basically, this is a solar 100, a 1 joule thing, and right now, just say it's giving off 8,500 volts. Okay? And without proper grounding, you can grab a hold of this wire and you're not going to get a shock because I'm not grounded. I touch that, I'm going to get punch Jack in the head. So the bottom line is, don't even go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Bugger off. So the bottom line is that grounding is everything, and that 90% of any problem of any fence is grounding. I will tell you that. So if I get a phone call and you tell me, basically, is that my fence isn't working, the first thing I'm going to ask you, what is your energizer? What's the reading on your energizer? And what's your reading on your ground stakes? And what's the reading on your fence? And you say, I don't know, I don't have something to test it with. And basically, I can grab it. Well, that doesn't tell me anything except you're an idiot. No offense, Jack. So basically, even with your grounding, with your ground stakes, you would have this approximately this far away from your ground stakes. Touch your ground stakes that are buried down into here. If you get no reading, you've got perfect grounding. If you've got 0.2 kilovolts or 200 volts or less, you got good grounding. If you've got 2.4 kilovolts, you need another ground stake because you got too much energy going into the ground and not on your fence. Understood? 10 feet apart, not 9, not 8, 10 feet apart minimum, connect them together. And how far down is this pole supposed to be? You can bury it right down under the ground. You can bury it. And a lot of people do. And why do you put it down over 6 feet? Anybody know why? Moisture. Okay. In the summertime, things dry out, right? You don't want these guys drying out. But in the wintertime, what happens? If you don't have it below 4 feet, because that's our frost line, is that fair? 4 feet? That's like a drought. So these things, if you're going to have animals out in the wintertime and that, you may not have a full circuit. So keep that in mind. That's why you got to get it down at least 6 feet into the ground. Okay? Perfect. One last thing I'm just going to discuss about is iSeries energizers. They are basically, it says it's a new innovation that Gallagher has come with, and the technology is changing faster and faster every day, every year. But basically an iSeries energizer will give you the opportunity and the basis of getting 18 joules of power, 28 joules of power, 58, and the largest in the world, which is 100 joules of power. And what Jim had earlier mentioned is the joules of power is the force across the line. It's the difference of getting a flick on the shoulder or getting a punch in the face. Is when you get in there. Power, you've got to be able to have enough power on here to drive the fence. And don't be cheap, don't be chintzy about it. Make sure you get into the fact in here with the iSeries is an excellent tool in the fact of doing it. It comes with a box that you hang on the outside of your barn. Once you plugged it in outside, and it gives you full readings. You can see, you can drive up with your truck, your tractor, you can see if everything's working. Is it full green? It's working perfectly. If it goes red, we're in trouble. It also comes with 6 stages you can add in there, monitors on this field. He's got a 100-acre field. We can break this up into 4 25-acre sections, monitors that will go through, and it'll tell you a reading of which one area you've got a problem with. It'll tell you, instead of looking at the whole 100 acres, you're going to be looking at the 25 in zone 3, zone 4, zone 6. It can go up to as many as 6. The next thing is that how many have got energizers and fencing and don't have a tester? Raise your hand, don't be shy. I want to see you up and shot. Because the bottom line is that if you call me, you tell me you have a problem with it on your fence, there's nothing I can do about it. I need to know what it is. Buying one of these, buying a car without the keys is basically what it's like. You've got to have something, you got to know where you're starting from and where you're going to end. And you can't do it. With the iSeries and that, the remote that comes that you can buy.
What do you call that?
This is a digital voltmeter.
Yeah, okay. You don't call it a remote.
No, this is just a voltmeter. What I have, we have smart fix fault finders, but for the iSeries, the smart fix fault finder, it will follow the directions. It will give you the kilovolts. It will give you the amps, but also it will give you the chance to shut that fence off, the back 40, without having to go up there and unplug it. So it has 4 sequences into it in that regard. It's really interesting. Cody, you're on for cloud.
And then another thing that we've got, another fairly new innovation, is we call Wi-Fi Gateway. And so only for the iSeries Energizers, you can now buy about a $200 add-on. And it's a little box that you connect to your Energizer. And you have to have Wi-Fi capability, or you can connect a hotspot to it. And with that, as well as an app on your phone, you can monitor your fence and you can turn it off and on from that app. So if you can either look at the Energizer as a whole, how it's performing,